Welcome back, everybody. Today's video is going to be a bit of a meta update, but it's going to be a lot about the new map and the way people are playing that I'm seeing working in my games and the way that I'm seeing not so much working. And the main thing about this video is we're going to be talking about all things you guys should be thinking about when it comes to your playstyle and your itemization in terms of timings in the game. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing foremost is the map is much larger. We all know this, we feel it in our games. And what that means is that early game, when heroes lack blink daggers, mobility around the map, boots of travel, the most important thing for all cores is to be strong in their respective lanes. Like, there's no rushing blink daggers, there's no anything like that. Most heroes that are powerful right now are buying early game items like Vanguard, or in the case of universal heroes, they're going stat items. In the case of carries, a lot of them are these universal heroes going stat items, or they're heroes like Bloodseeker that are really strong laners. And it's all about being individually strong in your part of the map. Because in the early game, the map is so large that it's really hard to move anywhere. Basically, it's really hard to gank other than maybe the twin gates in the side lanes. But a lot of it's like not as much walking around, but bracing yourself for impact. And the only heroes that are really ganking are the super mobile heroes in the game, like the Spirits, like Puck, Quap, stuff like this. So I want to pull up a replay where I talk about my idea of the way the game gets played right now. So in the game we're in, I am a mid lane Quap, and I am against Broodmother. So the point of what I'm showing you guys here is I want you to first think of your lane as like a little mini game. Because like I said, there's very little outside influence in your lane for the first 10 minutes on average. So what I'm thinking is Broodmother is really good at pressuring Quap because she doesn't have a way to one-shot the spiders. And so I'm gonna be getting ran at a lot. So all of my itemization is expecting to get charged by a Spirit Breaker, defending my tower from Broodmother, and thus that's why I went Veil here, because it gives me mana regen, it helps me kill the spiders, and it also allows me to sit under my tower as strong as possible. Because I'm expecting a lot of pressure from Brood, I'm embracing for that impact. So it's like if you're in your lane, like you're a Void Spirit or you're even like a strong carry like Bloodseeker, if you see a lane where you think you can pressure, think of this little mini game as I can buy items like stat items or phase boots and run that guy down and force the opponent to react, because right now reacting feels really bad. Like if your lane is like under duress, it feels really bad right now. So your first like 12 minutes of items, maybe 3k gold, are all about your lane. Like that's why all the offlaners are just going mana boots Vanguard into Octarine Core. That's why all the mid laners are just going like Treads Atos, Treads Echo Saber, because all these items just make them individually strong in their lane. And I'm just showing a hyper-specific example from one of my games because there's one of the few games I feel like I really adjusted well to like bad matchups, and wanted to show you like my thought process behind adjusting. So like notice how I don't really expect to move around that much because I'm under duress from Spirit Breaker and Broodmother. So I'm not even buying boots, right? So my next item is an attempt to one-shot the spiders. I just go for a Kaya. Notice how this game's pretty tough, but I managed to keep my tower mid alive for as long as I could, and, you know, at this point, I'm still very farmed, and I am building to scale. And this is something that happens every single game, is around like 13 to 15 minutes, one of the two teams on average is going to get a bunch of map control, and the other team is going to be playing cat and mouse. Not a lot of team fights are generally happening around this stage in the game because the map is still spread out, and people haven't built their team fight items yet because of what I've just talked about. A lot of people have Echo Sabers, Atoses, stuff like this that, yes, they help with pickoffs, but they don't help with team fights. So with that in mind, it's really important to be careful of not dying because kills are worth a lot right now, but to understand that there's still not a ton of team fights and that your next item should be all about playing the map. For offlaners, sometimes they'll go Octarine into Boots of Travel. Sometimes they'll even buy like a Blink Dagger so they can survive on the map. A lot of supports are buying like Solar Crest to sit behind their carries. Sometimes they're buying like, you know, Ether Lens and Glimmers so that they can survive on the map. All of these items are what I call like utility map items. Just think like, how do I die on the map? What like 2 to 3k gold item can I buy that helps against that? Like, you don't want to buy massive items. We're not talking about like Lincoln Sphere against Spearbreaker. We're just talking about small-ish items that will take you 4 or 5 minutes to build up. So as we fast forward into the game, you're gonna see that I end up queuing up a Boots of Travel. So in this specific instance, what I'm starting to think about around 20 minutes, because I talked about around 13, 15, you're thinking small item that helps me play the map. I need to start thinking, how can we as a team be 5? What I mean by that is we're starting to get to the point where heroes like Spearbreaker are in the game, Legions have Blink Blade Mails, Dooms have Doom. So basically, if you're playing alone and your team can't get to you in any way, you're kind of just fodder. You're just gonna die. That's what's happening in my games right now. And so a lot of it is, what items can we buy such that either the team can go as 4 and I can get to them, or I can just sit with the team myself. That's pretty much the 2 options. So of course, in your pubs, this is not gonna be what you expect to see, right? Like, meaning your team is not gonna be coordinated as 4 with you buying split pushing items and surviving. In the past, split pushers were usually like the strongest guy in the game. They were usually the guy that was the most survivable and most powerful individually, such that they would not die on the map. But I feel like right now, there's very few heroes, if any, that can just not die on the map. Like, they will die, and the person that's split pushing, their number one goal is to protect their towers, like push out the waves when necessary. But just to get farm without dying, like I'm saying, your number one priority is to make sure like you're sacrificing efficiency in order to just not die. Just don't feed. Even if you're getting less GPM, even if you're missing some creeps under tower because you're playing really far back, just don't feed. So what I'm noticing in these games, so like if you're noticing in my playstyle, our team can B5 as often as possible. I don't have Boots of Travel yet, so I have to play with my team. But notice how right when I get my bots, I'm playing hyper safe, allowing my team to push the tower, and I'm not even like worried about getting extra jungle gold. I'm like screaming from defensive and blinking. I should have honestly blinked there, but I'm like cleaning up the lanes. And notice how I can be with my team. That is the most important thing. I'm communicating, hey guys, I can be with you. And if you're doing my job right now, you probably would have cleared mid if you don't have Boots of Travel and like TP to this tower and then ran to your team, assuming that a fight's gonna happen. It's not that you always have to be fighting, but you have to be able to fight because there's so much chase potential. There's so many paths to flank. Your team is not gonna get away if it's 5v4, period. They're just not gonna get away. So what I'm seeing in my games that's good is a lot of people are going really strong early game items like Echo Sabers, the Atoses, the Octarine Cores. Particularly today, I'm venting a bit, but it is happening a lot because this was popular in the previous patch, is that offlaners are going Octarine Core into like BKB Blink Dagger type items. But these are not like Boots of Travel Blink BKB, where they're split pushing as heroes like Doom, being this hero, and they're trying to be strong. Like, they're running around with a BKB while they split push, saying like, I'm gonna be strong on the map. But that just doesn't work anymore because of the nerfs to BKB and the map just being so large that they can flank you if they want to gank you. If they want to, they will kill you. So like when I play offlane right now, in the games I'm having a ton of success on a hero like Primal Beast, I am rushing Octarine Core, because the item feels so good with Mana Boots Vanguard, and then you just disassemble, into items that plan to play with my team. So maybe Boots of Travel to do this job, maybe, but then Greaves, Pipe, Crimson Guard, Drums, stuff like this that makes the 5-man stronger. That is what is missing in my games. I know it's what teams are doing, and I need you guys to hear that like 20-minute mark, your items need to all be about fighting. Because at this point, there's no such thing as like survivably split pushing against heroes that you're seeing in the meta right now. I'm sure you guys are seeing Spearbreaker every single game, Legion every single game, stuff like that. So itemizing to team fight. So like, for instance, in my games where I have these offlaners that I'm getting very frustrated with, right? You can see all these losses, is that the offlaners I have, you know, they have these items. Similar to my Batrider offlane with these items. How do you team fight with these items? How do you team fight with these items? These are my mid lanes and off lanes. So yes, I'm getting a little triggered, but we're seeing a formula for what works in these games. A carry that has like mid-game items, a mid laner with stat items, an off laner with stat items or aura items, one of the two. You're either a universal hero with stat items or you're like a strength guy with aura items. You know, we're seeing a very common trend between the team that is winning. Off laner with stat items. This is a support actually. Mid laner with stat items, carry with these items. Team that's losing, Midas Boots of Travel on the team that's losing, right? My Timbersaw was owning really hard this game and we ended up losing. But look at his items. Like that looks like the meta. So I want you guys to see, like, this is what people are building and this is what's working. It feels like this is the flow of the game right now. Past 20 minutes, a 5-man fight can break out at any point, and if you're not prepared because your items are not ready to fight, it feels really bad. And that puts a huge emphasis on laning stage. That's why a lot of people are picking really strong. So I hope you guys got a better idea of, like, what the pace of the game is right now. So the first thing around 20 minutes is making sure you can be at fights. So that's considering Boots of Travel, or you're the guy that's in the fight, like with your team running around. And then once you can make sure you're in the fight, buying items that are good for fights. Like in the past, I talked about itemizing for fights or to farm. And right now, past 20 minutes, it is all about fights. Do you need to be the initiator with Blink? Do you need to be the aura builder with auras? Do you need to be the damage guy? Like, what do you need to do in fights? So I hope this really helped you guys out a lot. It's maybe easing a bit of my frustration, but maybe you guys can try to avoid being detrimental to your team in your games. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about this video, because it's definitely a little bit of a change of pace. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.